Post left me an unfair review and it cost them hundreds, by user district_Dan. I recently attended a friend's wedding a few hours away from home and the GF and I decided to get an Airbnb so she could bring her dog. We found a nice place that allowed pets, took off early from work and arrived Friday late afternoon. About 30 minutes later, the owner shows up to see how we're doing while we have the dog on the porch. We make some small talk, and he mentions that we didn't indicate we were bringing a dog. I felt bad, as it was an honest mistake, and I'd never lie to someone to get out of paying the pet fee. We tell him that and offer to pay the $25 fee on the spot. He refuses to take the money, and says that he loves dogs and eventually heads out. We don't think too much else about it, but when we leave, we decide to give the place a much more thorough cleaning than was in the instructions. The dog didn't chew any furniture or leave any other damage or mess, at least that we didn't clean up. In our minds the trip was a success and the Airbnb was a great fit. I got the email from them to leave a review and I left a 5-star review and said the house and the owner were great. But then I saw his review of me, and a private message where he blasted me for not telling him that I was bringing a dog, how dogs causes them so much more work, and how we shouldn't leave dogs alone in the house. This didn't sit well with me at all, since I thought we had handled this person to person when he came by on the first day. I was, and still am happy to pay for the pet fee, and there was no indication anywhere on the posting that we couldn't leave the dog alone for a few hours while we were at a wedding, nor did he say that while we chatted and told him we were here for a wedding. For him to post that on my Airbnb profile felt like a cheap shot. I responded to him that in the chat and said as much, and while Airbnb couldn't do anything about the review since it didn't violate any of their policies, my GF did point out that hosts aren't supposed to show up to the property unannounced. I had no idea and figured this was his property and he is allowed to show up, at least to check in with the guests. Normally I wouldn't care, especially since it was a very cordial interaction, but since he took a cheap shot with my review, I decided to do the same. I reached out to Airbnb support to tell them about his unannounced visit, and they forwarded it to their security team. I answered a few questions about the interaction, and they spoke to him. A week or so later they let me know that he was in violation of their policy, and they refunded me 2/3 days of the stay, which came out to about $200. All because of a bad review. Steal my lunch? I hope you like harem food, by user perversion_witch. I recently started to work in an office. Not very happy about it, as I prefer working from home, but it's only temporary so I'm hanging there. Since I'm trying to save money, I take my own lunch instead of eating at one of the many restaurants near the office. Soon after I started, I noticed my food going missing from the break room. After digging a bit, I discovered who the culprit was. One of my coworker, let's call him M, decided it was okay to take my lunch without asking for almost a week. I had to put a stop to this, but since I had no hard evidence like a video of him eating my stuff, I decided to take justice in my own hands. You see, M is a Muslim and apparently very serious about it. To the point that he has to let everyone know about this at least once a day. Nothing wrong with being serious about your religion, mind you. But when everyone knows you as the Muslim guy because that's the only thing you talk about, you may want to diversify your interests. To me, however, he's known as the lunch looter. Since it's my lunch after all, and I have absolutely no dietary prohibitions, I decided to prepare myself a delicious pork sandwich. Pepperoni, ham, smoked sausage, chorizo, bacon, pork leg, cochinita, and even some chicharron for good measure. Oh, and don't forget extra jalapenos. Normally I don't like them but I want this one to pack a punch. I call it the Squealing Supreme. Surely, any person who adheres to religious rules would be a fool to even go near my succulent sandwich, right? Well, seems like M is the type of person to grab food off the fridge without checking it first. Which led to hilarious results. At some point before my lunch hour, the office was set off by bloody screams coming from the break room. When someone ran off to check, they found poor M crying about eating pork and saying that someone put non-halal meat in the fridge. This was my cue to get HR involved. This level of drama wouldn't go unnoticed anyway, and catching M eating my sandwich was all I needed to get them on my side. Sadly, the payoff wasn't great. He was let off with a warning, and his excuse for taking my lunch is that I always brought halal food, basically just chicken and vegetables, so he took it. It's not that he thought it was for him, he just said he targeted my stuff because I was the only one bringing clean food. He was still quite pissed and in the last few days he's been giving me the death glare. Moral of the story, don't take people's food. Who knows? Maybe they enjoy the food your religion considers sinful. No space in your fridge for my lacroix? No wage IO for you, by user bomb underscore bomb underscore bomb underscore bomb underscore. My friends and I have game nights every Saturday. We meet at Daniel's, fake name, house because that's where we've set up our game room. Daniel owns the house but the four of us split costs to get all the furniture, screens, and consoles in the room. One of the guys who is an artist did the mural and stuff. It's a sick man cave. Well, Daniel's GF, let's call her Cassie, moved in with him a month ago. Cassie hates our game room. Thinks it should be a home office or something, and that it's a waste of space. Cassie has made it very clear that she hates our weekly boys' night and us. She has been becoming more and more territorial over little, petty things around the house. We are now not allowed to use the upstairs bathrooms, and too much toilet paper. Last week I went over with a case of lacroix and some snacks. As I open the fridge to put my lacroix in, Cassie tells me that I can't put my stuff in the fridge. I have been doing so for the past 2 years and Daniel had zero issues. I ask her why and she said she had Instacart delivery on the way and there will be no space. Mind you, this fridge is huge. You could fit a motorcycle in there. But it was clear she was being petty and I didn't want to argue with someone who clearly hates me. I took my lukewarm lacroix downstairs. Cassie invited herself to our game night, wanting to watch, but she was on her phone the whole time. Then my GF calls. Now my GF, Jessica, is a chef at one of the fanciest restaurants in the city. One that's really hard to cop reservations at unless you have American Express Black Card. Jessica often recreates cheaper yet equally delicious, and more generously portioned food at home for friends and family. It's incredible food. Wagyu beef, branzino, prawns, lamb, truffle fries, the sides, you name it. She'll even bring bread from the restaurant. It's a whole course meal. She would sometimes stop by and drop off her incredible creations on her way to her parents. My boys love her for it. They will kill me if I ever break up with Jessica. Even Cassie fawns over her food. She and Daniel came over for dinner one time and she instantly told Daniel that she wants them to go her restaurant for their anniversary dinner. Even asked my GF if she can book them a reservation, she couldn't. Well, my GF says she is on her way to her friends, and asked if we want her to drop off the food on the way. I look at Cassie, who is still on her phone, and I loudly said, "Nah babe, no need to bring us food. We already got pizza and there is no space in the fridge. Bring them to your friends, you know they'll love that." The boys were obviously a bit disappointed but didn't complain too much since they already had pizza in their hands. But I could feel Cassie's death glare. I had to open the fridge one last time before leaving to get water. It was half empty. Cassie's Instacart never came, I guess. Edit. All GFS/partners/potential partners and other friends are automatically invited. It's more fun that way. Cassie was invited before she and Daniel started seeing each other. All names are fake. Edit 2. If you are wondering, if you buy wholesale you can get American Wagyu for $15-20/lbs. No, Jessica doesn't drop hundreds of dollars to cook for us, lol. She comes and hangs out with us sometimes but prefers hanging out with her family and friends. We don't take her cooking for granted, we are all very appreciative of her. Jessica and I meal prep together on Fridays, as I'm trying to get better at cooking myself. I am very lucky to have her. I am going over to Daniel's in a bit so we can start off the night with HOTD, and I'm taking some chocolate for Cassie as a peace offering. Update, so Cassie wasn't there last night. I asked Daniel if I can use the fridge before opening it, and he sighed and said, "Look man, I'm sorry about Cassie. Of course you can use the fridge. So I guess that's that for now." A lot of y'all were mad about the chocolate, I ended up eating it. Want to try to embarrass me in front of my clients? You brought this on yourself then, by user training outcome 5466. English is my first language but I still mess up, so my apologies, laughing face. So I'm a travel agent and have a nice little office where my clients come to meet us or book travel. One of my clients, we'll call her Kay, has had issues with everything we have done for her. She booked a trip that was cancelled due to COVID lockdowns in April 2020. Most places were closed and she wasn't flexible about destinations, so we couldn't do much and finally offered to refund her the full amount, therefore making no money despite putting in hours of effort. Kay has decided that she wants us to give her a free trip because it's our fault she couldn't go on her original trip. Again, COVID-19, lockdowns, government regulations. So every week she makes one visit to our office to harass us into getting something for free. It never works, but she has been doing this since we issued her a refund. Last week I was talking to a couple of new potential clients in my office and Kay comes in. Our waiting area is centrally located and all our cabins are around the waiting area. She saw me busy and started knocking on my door constantly. I had no option but to excuse myself and open the door to tell her to please take a seat as I'm with other clients. She wouldn't have it and demanded I speak to her about the trip that I cancelled and ruined for her. Now this obviously concerns my new clients and I can see them ready to get up. I decide that I've had enough of her. I look to my new clients, would it be okay if Kay stepped in and I gave her a couple of minutes? Y'all are comfortable so don't need to move. She can use the other chair there. New clients shrug because let's be honest, it's a weird situation. Me, Kay, please confirm you were supposed to go to random international destinations in March 2020? Kay, yes. Me, the airline cancelled your flight due to COVID-19 and did not offer a refund. Am I right? Kay, yes, but... Me, I'm sorry ma'am, please let me finish this verification as I need to make sure I have all the information. I'll certainly hear what you have to say. Kay. Me, did we offer to rebook you on flights to and Kay, yes. Me, did you decline those destinations with no explanation? Kay, yes. Me, did you reply to any of our emails asking you to let us know what you were looking for on this trip so we could plan the trip for you? Kay, oh I'm sorry, I need to head out, I forgot I have a meeting. Me, ma'am please give me a couple more minutes. I going want to waste your trip to our office. Kay, okay. Me, when you did not reply to our emails, we issued you a full refund and absorbed the cancellation fees/deposits of your non-refundable reservations. Kay, yes. Me, ma'am please tell me what you would like us to do? As you know, we did not cause the cancellation. The cancellations were beyond our control and we even gave you a refund, losing money ourselves. How can I help you? Kay, no nothing, I'm sorry, have a great day. Once she left I apologized to my new clients that they had to see this. They were super understanding, but my favorite part happened after that. One of the couple said, isn't that Kay? She goes to our church. She's very active. I immediately go, yes. Y'all go to the same church? What a small world. Continue reading for the twist. Clients end up making a huge reservation and I'm a happy camper. 3 days later, a friend calls and asks what happened with Kay in my office and I walk her through the entire episode. She laughs and asks, so did you make her go through this because you knew they both go to my church? Me, why yes of course. You referred them both and told me they're from your church. She's been harassing me for months and my employees detest her. She had told us how active she is in church and how much she deserves a vacation, so I knew others in your church would know her, but she didn't seem to recognize them. Later found out from my new clients that she loved to berate people to get what she wanted. Turns out she was expecting more money from us for her lost time and efforts. In return, her church now knows how she harassed us and we have gotten a lot of free marketing from this story. TLDR, client kept harassing us because her trip was cancelled due to COVID-19. We refunded her money and absorbed the cost of her deposits. She still didn't let go. I essentially had her confirm to a member of her church the whole story, and within a couple of days the entire church knew how she was harassing us. Karen. You nipples in a pool, by user Mickey Bonbon 1988. So I just downsized to a smaller place and my girlfriend moved in with me. I had my first interaction with my religious nutjob Karen neighbor. It was not fun. I did post about it. Well, my girlfriend, you had the pleasure of meeting her yesterday morning when she made it home from work. Let's just say she's a lot more petty than I am. So you is Asian, that's important because we found out Karen next door is not only crazy a religious nutjob but racist to boot. You made it home and Karen happens to be outside doing some gardening. You introduced herself and Karen replied with a well, there goes the neighborhood now that your kind is here. You was shocked. I didn't know what to say and just walked in. We talked and I told her about what had happened the night prior. Well, you could see the wheels in you's head. We had breakfast, hug out, and you suggested we go out to the pool and chill today and I said that's a great idea. You went upstairs and got changed, came back down in the skimpiest string bikini you have ever seen. You looked at me and said, a great idea, I'm going to invite Karen and her kids over to the pool. The kids are like 19 and 20 and Karen is a religious nutjob bent on protecting their virgin eyes for the rest of time. You heads out the front over to Karen's, but after a few seconds comes running back and saying shit I forgot. She ran right to the kitchen to the freezer and pulled out an ice cube. Now I'm looking at her like she's a crazy person. You lifts her bikini top up and ices her nipples like seriously you could cut glass with them. Puts it back on and marched over to Karen's. So yeah, she knocked on the door. Her son answered and you asked to see her mother. She said you could see the shock in his eyes. So Karen comes and you politely invited them all over to go swimming. She did it with the biggest smile, nipples pointing like a mini sundial. Karen didn't say a word, her mouth just gaped open, not a single word. You came back and we hung out at the pool. Until Karen came out the back to the fence to scream. She started yelling, telling me to put my racial slur word for Chinese whore on a leash, that we are ungodly, immoral and disgusting. I happily replied, oh Karen, that's a great idea, ERLL, grab that stuff for tonight, gonna be a fob night tonight, right babe? So Karen marched off. 30 minutes later the cops showed up. They received a report of 2 people having sex on a front lawn. The cops know about crazy Karen. We had a laugh. They left. You decided she needed a full body tan, stripped down to her bottoms, and was outside tanning all day. Karen closed all the blinds in her house. You could hear her screaming every so often out the back window. You was laughing her ass off. Every day I fall more deeply in love with you. She's a fantastic woman. Edit, just need to clarify. My girl's name is not you, it's what I call her, that and babe, because I cannot properly pronunciate her name. Yu Yang. When I say her name it sounds like the male equivalent to the name and that upsets her, so I say either you or hey you when we are together because I think it's funny AF. Or babe most of the time out of politeness.